Everything is super secret, and sometimes I think the secrecy in Area 51 takes on a little bit of a life on its own. People go a little overboard with the secrecy. Good example, I don't know, we probably don't have time to get into the details of it. The Area 51 raid a couple of years ago, when both both of my homes were raided by FBI agents. Linda was affected. So happened that she was in Las Vegas. I was up here. They tore all the places up, tore everything upside down, stole about $20,000 worth of my equipment. And 2.5 years later, I still can't get a hold of anyone to even tell me what this was all about.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic threw their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah. What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
All Things Unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
Hello, Unexplained Ones. This is Dr. Mounts, and welcome back to All Things Unexplained. I am riding solo tonight, so shout out to Smitty, who is a little under the weather tonight. He had a traumatic knee surgery this morning. Hopefully it wasn't that traumatic, but Smitty, our prayers are going out to you. We're thinking about you. And also, we are missing CJ tonight, who's a little bit under the weather, but she's got a commercial for us coming up in just a little while. I want to welcome everybody in the chat all around the world that's tuning in to join us tonight. Please say hello in the chat. Let us know you're here. I want to get some of these comments up. Cat Daddy Steve is chiming in. Dragon Rose Linda, hello, says this should be a great show. We've got Big Apple waving and tuning in. Terry Lauderdale says howdy. Gary says let's rock. Appreciate all of you. We've got Boogeyman Ketchup, who says they are not a Fed, which probably means they are a Fed in my experience. No, I'm just kidding. Boogeyman. We've got Jeff in Ohio. We've got Crazy Potatoes here. Oh, we're so back. I noticed we also have got somebody here tonight from Holland. Yep, Hot Loose First joining us, the first thumb from Holland already. So we've got a lot of people in the chat already. Please say hello. If you have any questions for our guest tonight, who I'm about to introduce, please put them in all caps. I'm controlling the chat and everything by myself tonight. But if you put the questions in all caps, I'll notice it. I'll put a star beside it. We'll get to it at our listener questions section at the end of the show. And if you haven't already, we would appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. We are up to almost 43,000 subscribers at All Things Unexplained. We have been listed in the top 100 UFO podcast and the top 100 Bigfoot podcast. So that's a pretty big deal. We're really excited about how fast All Things Unexplained is growing. So if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, that's one great way that you can support the show. Another way you can support the show is just to visit our website, allthingsunexplained.com. There you can find all our socials. You can find all our videos, links to everything we've got. You can visit our store, our official YouTube store on our YouTube or at allthingsunexplained.com. So we really appreciate all of you. We have got a really exciting show for you tonight. Our guest is Jorg Arnu, founder of the legendary website dreamlandresort.com, widely considered the most comprehensive source of information on Area 51 and related Black projects. Jorg Arnu is a longtime Area 51 researcher, tech expert, and local advocate for transparency. In 2022, he made national headlines, whether he wanted to or not, after his home was raided by federal agents, an event that only deepened the mystery around the so-called non-existent base that we all know is out there and is called Area 51. Tonight, Jorg joins us live from Rachel, Nevada, to talk about Area 51, the FBI raid, Rachel, Nevada itself, which I think is endlessly fascinating, what it's really like living on the doorstep of America's most secret site. And plus, we may dive into a little bit of disinformation that's been in the news lately, including on the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post. So it's time to turn off the lights or turn them down a little anyway. Tune into the static and let's dive in with Jorg Arnu right after this commercial from CJ.
All Things Unexplained is free to watch on YouTube and listen to wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to support our show, you can visit our YouTube store. Additionally, you can find us on Venmo under All Things Unexplained. Be sure to check out our website, allthingsunexplained.com. All proceeds from the sales of Dr. Mounce's books on Amazon and Audible also go straight to our show.
Sagic Nix in the chat says, where is Jorg? Jorg is with us tonight. Thank you for joining All Things Unexplained tonight, Jorg. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's going to be a great show. I look forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. And I will put these comments up. You will have to tell me if they're good comments or not. Sajic Nich says, Guten Morgen, Jorg. Geb Dan Cockton? I'm not sure I said that right.
He's telling me to go water my cactus.
Oh, okay.
I do have a lot of German followers on my channel. My channel is bilingual, English and German.
Oh,
I
excellent.
was born in Germany, so I do a lot of videos in German, and hence I have a lot of followers.
Oh, that's
Germany.
Great. And friend of the show, 2020 Defense, Lee Starks joins us and says hello and enjoy tonight. And Lee, I wanted to ask you right off the bat, can you take us, because I just think you're such a fascinating person, can you take us back to the beginning? What got you in Rachel, Nevada, of all places?
Well, let me take you back to the very beginning.
Yes.
It goes back to to a little York, about 7 or 8 years old, fascinated with military aviation. There is a big air show in Hanover, Germany, where I grew up. And, little York standing there at the fence and watching in awe the displays of the military aircraft. Fast forward to little older York coming to the United States and learning about Area 51 is a real place. You can go there, you can visit it. It's not only something in a science fiction movie. So I had to see it for myself. I came out here in late 1998 and visited the gates of Area 51. And here we have the perfect mix for me personally. Military aviation going on at the base, secrecy, mystery surrounding the base, and on top of all of that, I fell in love with the Nevada desert. So it was a perfect storm, and it was clear to me this is where I'm going to be spending a lot of time. I came back, camped here for several weeks, did more investigation, and before I knew it, I was sort of the expert on Area 51. I started my dreamlandresort.com website, and it just took off from there. It ended up being that this is back in the in the late 1990s. The internet was really just sort of beginning to be something that you could use, and there was not a lot of information about Area 51. So when I started my website, it attracted all kinds of people that had just been waiting to discuss their favorite secret base, but had no place to do so. And all of a sudden, my website was there, the discussion forum was there, and the website grew tremendously within the first year or two with the help of everyone involved back then. And well, the rest is history. As they said, I bought a property in Rachel. I started developing it. I moved here when I finally retired from being a software developer in Las Vegas. I moved mostly to Rachel, and I've been monitoring the base 24/7 ever since. I've been listening to their communications and watching certain procedures, and just getting okay, what's going on, putting my finger on what's going on at the base.
Very interesting. Bob Lazar, I believe, came out with his story and with George Knapp in late 1989. Were you aware of that happening at the time, wherever you were?
At the time, I was still in Germany, and no, I was not aware of that. I didn't learn about Bob Lazar until I really started digging into Area 51. Of course, Bob Lazar was very prominent in the late 1980s. He brought Area 51 on the map. If it hadn't been for Lazar with his story, Rachel wouldn't be what it is today, and Area 51 probably wouldn't be what it is today, for better or worse. Lazar has a lot to do with Area 51, Area 51 folklore, the town of Rachel in general, public perception of Area 51. But I didn't really learn about Lazar. And to tell the truth, I am, and I have become more of a skeptic in my time here looking into Area 51. I can tell you a couple of little stories why I'm a skeptic.
Oh yeah.
Lazar's story sounds like a good story, but there are some things that really, to me, don't add up. On my Dreamland Resort website, I do have some clips about some of the things that just don't line up in Lazar's story. It's a great story, but that's, to me, pretty much all it is. Over the years, I came to know some people that have worked at Area 51 back in the 1950s and 1960s. Of course, they are up there in age today, but they still want to tell their story. So I'm talking to these people, and they tell me, well, the UFO story has always been a great way of explaining away things that people might have seen. Like back in the 1950s, 1960s, you had these spy planes, reconnaissance planes. I think they like to hear a reconnaissance plane more than spy plane. High, they were flying high above regular passenger airliners, and the pilots of these airliners, they saw something flying high above them, and there was nothing supposed to be above them because this was all secret. All these spy planes were secret. So the pilots of these jet airliners, they reported mysterious aircraft flying high above them as UFOs or as something unknown. And then it became, well, okay, you saw a UFO. That just became the pretty much boilerplate explanation for anything that anybody sees that doesn't fit explanation.
Right.
I've had a just very quickly, I've had an experience very early on here in my days camping in the area where I'm camped at night and I'm looking at the night sky and I'm seeing this humongous disc hovering over me in the sky. And I'm like, what is this? A disc with orangish lights around the perimeter of it. what is this? It's all true. They are coming to get me now. Until I realized what I'm looking at is really military activity. They were so-called flares, basically very hot burning um, fireworks, if you will, that planes deploy to divert heat-seeking missiles. So, but to me, it looked like, the eye fills in the blanks or the brain fills in the blanks, and I saw this humongous disc for a split second hovering above me until I realized what it was. So, and I've heard other people talk about exactly the same, and they are convinced they saw a UFO, and who am I to say they didn't? All I can say is I have never seen anything that I couldn't explain after a little bit of giving it some thought.
Right. And, you bring up an interesting point there. You had these flares, and your mind filled in the gaps of what you were seeing and essentially made a UFO out of it. And this is an interesting point, this notion of public perception versus reality.
Yeah.
And what would be your best advice for people just going out and sky watching anywhere in terms of public perception or their own perceptions and preconceived notions versus the reality of what they may or may not be seeing?
Well, my advice would be get educated on what you could expect to see. Like when people come out here, go to my website, go to dreamlandresort.com and read up on Area 51 before you come out here so you know what to expect. You might get a great show. You might see something that you think is a UFO. Who am I to say it isn't? I will say this: if there is such a thing as recovered UFOs, Area 51 would be the logical place to keep them because there is, to my knowledge, no more secret place in the United States than Area 51. It is perfectly tucked away in a valley, surrounded by another restricted area, surrounded by security, surrounded by desert that nobody in their right mind even wants to go to. So it's a perfect place. And if we do have something that we don't want to share with the rest of the world, that would be the place to keep it. But again, there's a lot of things that you might encounter here that you might, if with a little bit of preparation, check out my websites, check out my YouTube channel for that matter. I started a YouTube channel about a year ago. The link is on my website, and I think it's also in the description of your show here. Take a look at my YouTube videos, what it looks like out here, get educated, and then you're going to get a lot more out of your visit. When you come out here knowing what you're going to see and what it looks like, what to do, you get so much more out of your visit.
Right. And I want to pull up your website here, Jorg, and this is dreamlandresort.com. I'm going to put that up where everybody can see it too, dreamlandresort.com. And your website is truly massive. I mean, certainly a wealth of information is here. When you first got started, Jorg, kind of what was your purpose of the website to start with? And what were you doing exactly with the website at the very beginning?
The purpose of my website was as much to share my information with others. I started camping out in this area, and I literally developed. I'm a software developer by trade, so developing a website came natural to me. I literally developed the first pages of this website. It's camping in the back of my truck back then, and it was meant to share my information. I'm learning about Area 51. I'm thinking, well, I have these questions, and I just answered those questions for me. Other people may have the same questions, so let me tell them what I found. And at the same time, it was also, to be honest with you, a repository for myself to organize my own research, and at the same time share it with people that are interested in it. Of course, the discussion forum, what the buttons on the left-hand side of that website. By the way, the design of the website, yes, it's very 90s. That is because it was developed in the 90s. And I've never changed it because we all came to love it the way it is. And on that button bar, if you go to the discussion forum, there's discussions pretty much every day. People post new topics for discussion, and it's very active. And there's a lot of really good people that contribute to my forum. Some people that I learn to listen to when they talk. I know they have something meaningful to say. So this is the absolutely great source for information. And people that have questions, no matter how specific your question is, or no matter how beginner level your question might be, post it in the forum, and somebody, if I don't get a chance, somebody will get back to you and will have an answer for you. So, and the discussion forum is really just one of many sections of the website. Of course, the Area 51 section is a big thing, with satellite images and with actually a lot of photos. Right there, you can see actual photos of Area 51.
Oh, yeah.
Contrary to public belief, you can go up to a mountaintop and you can take pictures of Area 51. You need long lenses, good gear. These photos were taken from 26 miles away.
Wow.
But it's possible, with some preparation. People go up there and, you can see what's going on at Area 51. In this particular case, that was the one that you just had open. That was actually a test flight of a B2 over Area 51. This one, let me see what this is. Yeah, this is actually a really interesting, another interesting feature of Area 51, a rotating tower. They have a vertical tower that is, a number of stories tall, and the whole thing just rotates around its own axis. Why does it do that? In 20 years, we have not found a definitive answer to it.
But you're talking about this tall, gray-looking structure?
This tower, yeah, that tower. It was built in, I believe, in 2003. And in these photos, you can actually see that the photos were taken from the same vantage point, but the tower is in different orientations. So we prove in these photos, prove that the tower actually rotates. Why do I need a tower that rotates? And you see the B-21, the B-2 down below. That was actually flying over that range that day. So they were doing some radar measurements on the B-2 that day. And why are they doing that? The B-2 is a number of years old. Why are they flying that over the range? There's a lot of things over the years. I learned some of the procedures just by watching what's going on, by listening to their air traffic. The newest thing at Area 51 these days is, of course, testing of the B-21, the new bomber. And the very latest project is what is known as the Next Generation Air Dominance Project. That is a family of systems. That is a manned aircraft. Yeah, that's a video that I did about that rotating tower. And I proved in that video also that the tower rotates. So, when you look at this is several Google Earth images, and when you look at a number of Google Earth images, you can see that the tower is sitting in the satellite photo in a different orientation.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty amazing that this tower has been there for 20 some odd years, and nobody still to this day, it is still in use, but nobody knows exactly what it does. It has something to do with the radar range, but nobody really knows exactly what it does. And,
I want to give a challenge to our folks in the chat, and we've got people from all around the world in the chat right now, including some folks I know with military experience. If anybody in the chat has any theories about what this rotating tower could be for, let us know. You never know. I mean, we may come up with some answers right here tonight. Jorg, how tall do you think this tower is?
I'd have to look it up on my own website. That's why I have it. I believe it's 55 feet. It could be, I think it's right around 55 feet tall. I'd have to put it up on my website here. It is quite tall. It is a pretty tall structure. The 2001 obelisk, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a very tall tower, and the resolution when you look at it from Google Earth, I mean from Tikaboo, where these photos were taken from, the resolution is not quite good enough to really see what is on the sides of it. It looks like there may be some panels, some dishes, something along those lines mounted to the sides of it. But why does it need to rotate? What is it doing when it rotates? What is it tracking? There's after 25 years of watching Area 51, there's still a lot of mysteries for me.
Oh yeah, that is so interesting. Somebody here, Terry Lauderdale,
Terry.
says maybe it's an amplifier that goes to 11. Maybe so.
Terry did a great stunt a few weeks ago. He came out here. He plays in a band. He plays the guitar, and he actually played the guitar at the back gate of Area 51. He came out here, and we went out to the back gate of Area 51. There's a video of that on my website. It was a hoot. I mean, I don't know what the security thought. I hope they enjoyed the show. He played the theme from Top Gun at the back gate, and yeah, it was quite a hoot. And by the way, Dragon Rose is my girlfriend Linda. She's kind of moderating my chat on my YouTube channel.
I noticed that. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that as well. So thank you. And I'll repeat something that Linda helped with. If anybody has questions for Jorg, please try to put them in all caps. I'm putting a star beside them, and we'll get to as many as we can toward the end of the episode. Speaking of these photographs, which are amazing and just shows what good equipment that you must have access to, Jorg, it's my understanding that there were maybe hills and mountains that you could get to the top of decades ago, perhaps near Rachel, that have since or been shut down, or the access limited now. Have you known that to be the case? Could you used to be able to get closer to Area 51 than you can now?
That is absolutely correct. You were able to get very much closer to Area 51. And by the way, I don't want to take credit where credit is not due. I did not take those photos. One of the regulars on my website took those photos. Yes, getting back to the perimeter of Area 51, up until 1984, you could go right up to the border of Groom Lake. You could go right up to the north end of Groom Lake and look right over the dry lake bed and see Area 51 on the other side of the lake bed. Then in 1984, they extended the boundary to include much of the Groom mountain range and the mountain ranges around Area 51, so that you weren't able to look at Area 51 from close up anymore. But they missed two mountaintops. They missed the mountaintops known as Whitesides and Freedom Ridge, that you could still go up to and look at the base from 12 and 15 miles away. Then in 1995, they realized, hey, we got to do something about this. We got people coming up there and they're interfering with our tests and this and that. So they took these two mountaintops, they extended the boundary a little bit to include those two mountaintops. And now you have to go to Tikaboo Peak 26 miles away if you want to see Area 51. And you can imagine 26 miles of desert air, you have to have a really clear day to even see anything. And to make photos like these, you have to really be lucky to have an exceptionally clear day. And still, there is still concern at Area 51 to this day when there is a test going on and somebody's on Tikaboo. There's one documented case where a member of my website team was on Tikaboo Peak And they sent the helicopter out to check on him, and the helicopter radioed back, "Yep, I see the guy." And they called off a test that they had scheduled for that morning.
Oh,
So even 26 miles away, they are still worried about people watching what's going on.
that is wild. Well, you brought up some interesting terminology just now. And one of the things you said was Groom Lake. So I was wondering, Jorg, would you mind sort of defining what is Area 51? Because I feel like it's sort of a catch all term now for a lot of different things that are happening around there.
Yeah, well, Area 51 is the base itself. The name Area 51 was used in the 1950s and in the 1960s, actually. Today, the base itself is officially known as Air Force Test Center Detachment 3. That refers to the base itself, like Nellis Air Force Base, Edwards Air Force Base, and such. Groom Lake is the geographic feature that the base is located at. So Groom Dry Lake is a dry lake bed, and Area 51 is located at the south end of that dry lake bed. Groom Lake is the reason why Area 51 is there, because when they were looking for a test site to test the U-2 spy planes, the dry lake bed, it's flat as a mirror. It's a great natural landing field. So they saw this dry lake bed surrounded by mountaintops right next to an already restricted area, and they said, "Hey, this is a perfect location for a secret base." And yet, right over the hill, they had the whole infrastructure already in place in the Nevada test site to build the base. So that's the Groom Lake. Groom Lake is the original landing field of Area 51 before they even developed runways. And of course, the whole valley is known as Emigrant Valley. But, in the early days, Area 51 was known as Watertown, and it was known as Paradise Ranch. That was a joke that Lockheed Skunk Works leader Kelly Johnson came up with. He wanted to attract people. I mean, who in their right mind wants to work in the middle of the desert where it's 110 degrees in the summer and minus degrees in the winter? So he thought, hey, I'm going to call this thing Paradise Ranch. Who doesn't want to work in paradise?
That's right.
And I guess it worked.
Exactly. And Jorg, you were telling me something before we went on the air tonight, and I'm blessed to be joined by Jorg Arnu, operator of the dreamlandresort.com website, all about Area 51. And Jorg, you were telling me about these wildfires, and somebody in the chat mentioned this, so I think this would be a great time to bring it up. So XRichHX on YouTube says, just wondering how the wildfires are at the moment. So what's going on out there right now? It seems like all around us, we've had floods in Texas. We here at All Things Unexplained in our county was hit by catastrophic flooding the other night. I mean, it just seems like there's a lot going on. What's happening out there at Rachel?
Well, first, let me say I'm sorry that you're affected by that. I mean, we're hearing about it. It's terrible. And what we are dealing with is nowhere near that level, but it is worrying here. So we actually have back-to-back wildfires here. There's a mountaintop called Mount Irish that is about 30 miles northeast of Rachel. And on, I think it was June 30th, a fire broke out at the base of Mount Irish, and it spread very quickly. We had very high winds, and we haven't had hardly any rain this entire year. So everything is super dry. And before they knew it, firefighters took a little too long to respond properly. If they would have just attacked it head on right away, they might have gotten a hold of it, but they didn't. So that fire spread to about 6,300 acres in size, which is a pretty good chunk of land, forested land that burned. They finally got that under control, but for a couple of days, it was pretty frightening. The wind blew it right towards Rachel, and nobody gave us information. So we were like really left in the dark on how bad it was. Do we need to evacuate? And that luckily that fire has been addressed and is 99% out now. But a new fire came up on 4th of July, actually, started inside the test site, about 15 miles northwest of Area 51, and about 20 some odd miles, 22 miles maybe from southwest of Rachel, in a forested mountainous region of the test site. Again, it was completely ignored. Oftentimes, when there's wildfires, they're often caused by lightning strike, and sometimes the appropriate response is we'll just let it burn out. They said basically that's what they were planning on doing here. Basically, I've heard some. I'm not going to go into details where I have heard this, but I've heard that the Area 51 security pretty much just brushed it off. Don't worry about it. It doesn't affect us. It's going to blow itself out. Did I just drop out?
No, I've still got you.
Okay. So anyway, they ignored this fire until they couldn't ignore it anymore. It caused a lot of smoke. This whole valley a few days ago was covered in smoke. The smoke. I did a video. I got a short on my website, on my YouTube channel. I got a short video about it, and that is not even the worst of it. The whole valley was covered in smoke, and one day we actually had ashes rain down on us.
Oh man!
That fire now has grown to a size of 30,000 acres.
Wow!
And just to put that in perspective, that is about 1/3 of the size of the city of Las Vegas.
Wow.
So imagine 1/3 of Las Vegas burning, and it's out of control. It's 0% contained, and there's actually some concern here in Rachel about the fallout from that fire. The fire is near areas that are radioactive, near the Nevada test site where they did nuke tests. So there is no telling what is raining down on us right now, what we're breathing in with the smoke that we're breathing in right now. Just before the show, I had a local from Rachel call me and ask me, hey, do you know anything about it? Do we need to be concerned? I don't think it's quite at that level, but it is at the level where I really want to know more about, do we need to be concerned? So, as I'm looking out my window, just before the show, I looked out my window over to the ranges, and I can see plumes of smoke coming up. I understand that there will be a report tonight in Las Vegas News about it. I talked to George Knapp from KLAS about it. And, there's just some concern that what are we being exposed to here? What is this stuff? And, wouldn't it have been a lot easier and better if they would have addressed it when they still could?
Right.
Yes. Last night, I think Linda and I went outside and we looked over to the mountain, and we could see flames on top of the mountain.
Wow, that's scary.
And I think, as crazy as it may sound, but as long as the wind was blowing it towards Rachel, I don't think they were too concerned about it. But when the wind direction changed, and it blew it right over Area 51,
right,
and I think that got their attention.
Right. Well, we will certainly be thinking about all of you out there in Rachel, and hopefully they will get on that and get it contained. I mean, I tell you, we should all be well advised to be prepared, because honestly, if anything the last few years has taught us is that life can change in a heartbeat. It doesn't take long at all. And you may have to stand up for yourself and your friends and your family at a moment's notice. And so we'll be thinking about all of you out there, Jorg, and everybody in Rachel in the surrounding area. I want to bring up this comment here, Jorg, but also back to your website, because I think this is a great picture. This photo below was taken from Tikaboo Peak on October 12th, 2023 by our longtime member, Michael Rokita, with a Nikon P1000 camera with a 3000 millimeter optical zoom. And we kind of have a pretty good view here. It seems like of Area 51, and specifically they point out a new hangar here with an arrow at Area 51. And I brought up the comment here from Steve King to go with this photo. And Steve King says, you should install earthquake sensors on your property and monitor for anything suspicious. That does bring up an interesting point. Are you aware of any seismograph data or sensors in the area that anybody monitors or has access to, York?
There has actually been a monitoring station near Queen City Summit, about 15 miles northwest of Rachel. I think that was a University of Reno project, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's still active, but we do every once in a while, when you look at earthquake maps, you see these micro earthquakes over the ranges or in supposedly in the ground. I'm often wondering, are these real earthquakes, or is that something flying that is causing these quakes and is setting these sensors off? So there are a lot of monitoring stations for radiation around Area 51, around the test site, and weather monitoring stations. I really don't know of a whole lot of seismic monitoring stations. So yeah, that might be interesting to put a monitoring station out there and see what is going on here. I don't think I've ever felt an earthquake here, Rachel, but I lived in San Francisco for a short period of time, and I have felt earthquakes there. It does get your attention. I've never felt anything like that here.
Well, where CJ and I are located here at the All Things Unexplained studio in North Carolina, there is a very secretive facility just down the road from us. And it's an underground facility. And I'm not sure if I've ever heard this about Area 51, but I'm looking at this photograph, York, and we see just a lot of these like plain Jane, stereotypical looking hangars, right? And it reminds me of things I've seen at this base near us. How do you think that there are portions of Area 51 that are underground? Maybe what we're seeing here on the surface is really just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let me tell you, they are building a new hangar at Area 51 every 2 years on average. A new big hangar, like the one that arrow is pointing to. So I'm not sure if there is underground facilities at Area 51. If you want to hide it from the public, just build a hangar around it. And when you look at satellite images of Area 51, you can really see how it has grown over the years, and how the base has expanded. I believe that for the most part, what they are trying to conceal is in hangars. There may be some underground facilities, but I really don't see the need. If they wanted to hide whatever they are trying to hide, any air vehicle that they are trying to hide, all they have to do is build a hangar around it. And they have actually built new hangars at Area 51 very recently. This big one was built in, I think, in 2008 for a project. Basically, the successor of the project that was developed there is now known as the RQ-180 drone. It's a combat drone that has been in use for years and years after it was developed here, and still nobody knows really what it looks like or what it does. It's one of those things that our military keeps in the back pocket and pulls out whenever they need it. So and that's what Area 51 is. They develop things there in secrecy, in hangars, maybe underground, I don't know. And when we need it, we have it. And just to make that very clear, the secrecy at Area 51 is, of course, not to keep it from us, from the American public. It is to keep it from our enemies.
Right.
They can't tell us, but not tell our enemies. So
right.
Everything is super secret, and sometimes I think the secrecy in Area 51 takes on a little bit of a life on its own. People go a little overboard with the secrecy. Good example, I don't know, we probably don't have time to get into the details of it. The Area 51 raid a couple of years ago when both of my homes were raided by FBI agents. Linda was affected. So happened that she was in Las Vegas. I was up here. They tore all the places up, tore everything upside down, stole about $20,000 worth of my equipment. And 2.5 years later, I still can't get a hold of anyone to even tell me what this was all about.
Wow. No, I'm really interested in that, Jorg. And of course, this made national or worldwide headlines when this happened. And I wanted to ask you a little earlier, maybe you could go ahead and address this now. When was the first time, Jorg, that you started noticing that, hey, somebody else is paying attention to my website besides just fans of it?
That very day. I had no indication that it was coming.
Really?
I have said so many times on my website, if ever I publish anything that shouldn't be out there, I would hope that somebody would let me know and I will take it down. Not a word, nothing, zero. And then that morning, it all came crashing down on us. My door was kicked in, my fence was broken down. They broke into my house. I'm still asleep. I'm waking up. I get up in my hallway. I'm staring at a riot shield, guns drawn, pointed at me, agents in full riot gear with helmets on and body armor and the whole 9 yards. And my first thing that came to my mind was, what are you guys doing in my house? Stupid question, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. Well, turned around, hands against the wall, handcuffed me, dragged me out of my house, shoved me into one of their vehicles, interrogated me, kind of implied that I had flown my drone into restricted space, which I never have, that I had encroached into the perimeter of Area 51, that I had breached the perimeter, which I never have. They lied to Linda. They told her I was on the run. The team that was in Las Vegas told her that I was on the run. Where could I be? To intimidate her and to get her to divulge some of our friends here in town. Where could you be? Where could I be? Maybe with a friend. So she gave them all the names of our friends. We have nothing to hide. We fully cooperated with the FBI. I think I was very nice about it. And once the agents realized that what they were led to believe wasn't the case, they relaxed a little bit and we actually started talking instead of a confrontation. They were led to believe that I'm this super hardened criminal. Thank you, Terry. Yes, I am a patriot. I am here by choice. I'm an American by choice. And, the first question that the guy asked me is, are there any booby traps on your property? And I'm thinking, booby traps? Who the heck do you think I am? I'm a retired software developer with a hobby that involves Area 51. I haven't had so much as a speeding ticket in many years. So what? I couldn't, I'm probably the most boring guy, and they have all my computer equipment, they have all my backup drives. So by now they know that I'm actually pretty boring, but they were led to believe that I'm this super hardened criminal and that they had to come down on me full force. Linda was dragged out of the house in her underwear. I mean, it was very, very demeaning. The whole thing was very, very much geared towards intimidating. And I think the reason for this was twofold. Number one, they knew about my website and they wanted to know, what do I know that's not on my website? Zero. I don't have these super secret sources. I don't have Deep Throat that I'm talking to. Sorry, I wish I did. I don't. And secondly, they wanted to send a message to the community. My website is one of maybe a handful of similar websites and forums that cater to that community. And they wanted to send a message, hey guys, back off. And they knew that I'm very outspoken, that word would get out. And that was the whole purpose of this whole thing. Nothing will ever come out of it. They haven't pressed charges in 2.5 years, and they have nothing to go on. They won't press charges. So, I'm not too worried. I got to wait another 2.5 years until the statute of limitation expires. Then they're going to have to either give me my stuff back or press charges.
Wow.
So,
that is
in the meantime,
ridiculous.
I'm out $20,000 worth of equipment. And actually, if somebody feels so inclined, I do have a GoFundMe page. It's linked to my Dreamland Resort page. If anybody would like to help us out financially, it is much appreciated. We have so far raised almost $19,000 in donations to help with our financial losses. I mean, just repairing the house after the goons were done, that alone took me about $7,000. But
Yeah.
no hard feelings. They did their job, and they are not the guys I'm blaming. Whoever kicked this whole thing that came down on me, whoever kicked that loose, that's the person I have a problem with, because he abused his power.
Right. Did they even present a warrant for being there?
After they were done tearing my house up, yes, they did. Linda asked in Las Vegas. I asked here in Rachel. I want to see a warrant. We're going to give you the warrant when this is over. So, sure enough, when the whole thing was over, they handed me about 5 or 6 pages out of a 55-page warrant. What the other 40 pages say, I still don't know. The pages that I was handed quote some really dubious paragraphs in the law that basically say it's illegal to take photos of military installation. Well, I did. I'm not denying that. But so does Google Earth. So does every tourist that comes out here to Area 51 to take photos of the perimeter. Are you going to prosecute all of those people? Are you going to go after Google Earth? Are you going to go after Bing Maps and whoever else has photos of Area 51 online?
Right. And, I mean, the world is just such a different place now than it was, let's say, in the late 90s, for example. I mean, technology has exponentially increased our ability to monitor things. Not only that, but the general public's ability to communicate with each other and to be aware of their rights and their abilities and what they're allowed to do in terms of observing and documenting things while they're in public. I mean, that I feel like the general population is much more aware of these sorts of things. And Jorg, I think the irony here of this raid is that it really seems like it put a lot more attention on you and your website than probably was there before.
Certainly did. Yes, absolutely. I mean, like you said earlier, it went national, and it brought a lot of attention to my website, and I'm not doing anything wrong. So I keep doing what I've been doing for the last 25 years. I have done nothing wrong. And if anybody has a problem with me, I said it before the raid, I'm saying it now. I would hope that they talk to me one-on-one and let me know what the problem is, and we can work it out.
Right. And that's why I want to encourage everybody right now, check out Jorg's website, dreamlandresort.com. I've got it on the screen there. It's a cool 90s website that is super functional and super cool. You can also link up to Jorg's YouTube channel from there and his GoFundMe to help Jorg replace some of the equipment and repair some of the damages that occurred during the FBI raids, which ironically remind me of the FBI raid on Afro Man's house. Afro Man, who's from Palmdale, California, which is where my co-host CJ is from as well. And Afro Man turned that into a music video. And so that turned around on the FBI as well, too. So they just kind of got what they deserved there as well. Jorg, were you ever a fan of the X-Files?
Absolutely. I was the biggest fan. I've watched every episode. I have them all on DVD actually.
Oh yeah, that's I was yeah I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to that's around our age, and you ask them what got you into ufology or just the unexplained in general, and so often it goes back to the X-Files. And you know, your experience here with the FBI though, it's like something straight out of the X-Files. Like it's almost you would not have been surprised if you saw the smoking man hiding in the corner, you know, while they were doing the raid.
Yeah, except the people doing the raid were not Mulder and Scully.
I know they weren't.
But yeah, and you know, I still I love the X-Files. It was a great show. A couple of episodes actually played right here in Rachel, and absolutely great show. It probably has something to do with my fascination for Area 51.
Yeah, well, I was wondering that. I mean, because just clicking through your website here, it does kind of have like a cool X-Files like vibe to it. I've seen Mulder and Scully on their computers, you know, in different episodes. So it has a really cool vibe. And I was a part of a group back in the day, and I still remember fondly that we would get together on Sunday nights, and watching X-Files was the thing to do, right? And you had to watch it then. It was now or never. There was no watching it later on your own leisure time, right? It was truly must-see television for sure. Well, York, one thing I wanted to talk to you tonight about as well is just Rachel, Nevada. I think Rachel is a really fascinating place. The population of about 60 people, is that about right?
Yeah, on a good day, closer to 50 probably.
Well, what can you tell us? I mean, just about Rachel, Nevada, because I've heard a lot of things about Rachel and just its proximity to the bases out there and just kind of what people, you know, were used to.
Rachel originally started as base camp, so to speak, for a mining operation nearby. There was a big tungsten mine on the backside of Timber Hill Mountain. And, you know, there was some farming going on here in Rachel. And when the miners moved in, the farmers started selling off some of their land for settlement. This was very, very basic. No power lines, no infrastructure. And then finally, power lines came to Rachel, which was a big moment. The town was sort of beginning to be on the map. And then this little girl was born in the town that was called Sand Springs back then. Her name was Rachel Jones. And that was sort of, okay, we are beginning to be a town. We're beginning to be someone. We're beginning to be on the map. So they named the town after this baby girl that was born, the first baby girl born here in town, Rachel Jones. They named the town Rachel. That's why it's called Rachel. The mine closed subsequently, and Rachel would have probably become just another ghost town if it hadn't been for Bob Lazar and his story. You know, a few people knew about Area 51 prior to Lazar and would kind of come out here more or less in hiding, wouldn't really make a big deal out of it. But Lazar and his story brought Rachel on the map. At the perfect time when it was in decline, when there was really no economy in town, and there was a local bar that was called the Rachel Bar and Grill. Of course, Lazar came out with his UFO stories, and they renamed the bar the Little Alien, which is called to this day, catering to UFO tourists. They got all kinds of decorations on the wall of UFO sightings and everything related to strange, mysterious happenings around the area. Area 51 being right over the hill, there's got to be something going on. There's got to be UFOs. People came out here by the busloads. There was several small businesses here in town catering to UFO tourists. Area 51 did its best to further that whole UFO story, because what better way to debunk people that might have really seen something, a test flight, a mission going out of Area 51, than tell everybody, oh, the guy just saw a UFO. So it was almost a mutual doing to further this UFO myth. And well, the rest is history. To this day, it was just a little bit declining. Rachel, there's no denying it. Rachel is declining. The older people move away, pass away, sadly, and the younger people, there's not much to do for the younger people. So they go to college, they never come back, they are gone. So it's dwindling away. During the time that I've been here in Rachel, it's probably declined from close to 80 people to now 40 on a good day. And so, the UFO theme and the tourism is keeping Rachel alive. Our whole county is living off of tourism. And I think it's great. I'm actually, in about an hour, I have a tour with a German tour group that I'm showing around here. So I'm all for tourism. That's great. But when this Storm Area 51 event happened a few years ago, we were just completely overwhelmed, and we tried to step on the brakes. Hey, slow down. No, we can't handle 3 million people in a town of 50. That's not going to work.
Right.
So, but that at the same time, and of course, that event didn't get anywhere near as big as they thought it would be. But it brought more renewed interest in Rachel. So it brings more tourists out here, which is great. We live off of tourism. It's great. Come visit us. That's what my website, part of my website, my Dreamland Resort website is for, and my entire Rachel website. I also have a website, the official website of the town of Rachel, called rachel-nevada.com. It's to bring tourists here. We welcome tourists. And the town, as it is now, we have the local bar and grill, the Little Alien. They have a few guest rooms. We have a gas station. And we get mail once a day from Alamo, and that's about it. There is no infrastructure in Rachel. And all of us who are living here, we are here because of that. We are individualists. We like it the way it is. We like to be able to be our own, to make our own fate, so to speak, on our properties. I can develop my property any whichever way I want, and nobody has anything to say about it. So if there is a common theme to the people that are in Rachel today, we all like our privacy. We are all individualists. So, I'm 63 years old, and I'm one of the younger residents here in Rachel. That might tell you something. So but again, come to Rachel, visit it. There's actually on my Rachel website, there's a great history of the town of Rachel that was written by Glenn Campbell, a former resident of Rachel. He did a phenomenal job putting the history together, and that's part of what I'm trying to do with that website. The history of Rachel is forgotten with the people that have lived here and move on or pass away. So on that website, I'm trying to chronicle the happenings in Rachel, and that's part of why this website is there. We have a photo album with some past events, but again, there's not any big events anymore because Rachel is declining and nobody really takes it upon themselves anymore to do something. We have a great group of friends, speaking for myself and our friends here. We get together, we solve the world's problems, as we always say, on the round table. And that's what Rachel is for me and for most of us. The tourists that come to Rachel will see the Little Alien. Sadly, they don't really experience the real Rachel, our Rachel. I wish they could, but at the same time, I can't handle dozens of tourists at my house every day. So, as much as I would like to show them how we live, I just can't. That's why I'm doing the videos on my YouTube channel. Right. I did one video of how do we live here, and actually, I'm just right now working on a video in German for my German fans of okay, we are going shopping in Tonopah, and this is how this works. Just showing them the life here in Rachel.
Well, Jorg, I want to give a shout out to one of your local organizations. I really appreciate this Rachel history. And I showed this part to CJ, and I told CJ, my co host who couldn't join me tonight, that she should start a local chapter of MUMS, MUMS. This stands for Mothers Under Mighty Stress. And I don't know when that group was started. On April 11th, 1978, a group of women in the town of Rachel formed MUMS, Mothers Under Mighty Stress. I think that is still a relevant organization to this day, maybe even more so.
Yeah, that was before my time, but I know about it. And it was basically the women, okay, the guys were working in the mine, and the women were left to deal with finding housing and all the other things that need to be done in a community that is just developing. And yeah, they were stressed out. They didn't have TV, and that's where the TV repeater comes in. That article talks about. There was no TV reception. Rachel is so far away from anywhere really, that there's no TV reception. So they put a TV repeater up on the mountaintop here to bring to basically bounce Las Vegas TV channels into Rachel, and that was a big thing when all of a sudden they could view TV here in Rachel. So that alleviated a little bit of the mighty stress that the moms were under. But in the big, I would imagine. I mean, I'm sitting here in my nice air-conditioned house, but I would imagine that in the beginning, when Rachel started, it was a rough life here. It gets hot in the summer, it gets cold in the winter. There's really only two seasons, summer and winter, and I'm sure it was a very rough life. I can't even imagine.
Oh, sure.
So today we have a little gas station here. We can go there and buy the most necessary things. We drive, our nice air-conditioned cars to Alamo or to Tonopah, go shopping. They couldn't do that in those days. It was a day trip to go grocery shopping.
Right. It reminds me of a trip I just got back from where I got to go into the Yukon Territory in Canada. And my goodness, just hearing about the stuff that people went through in the 1800s, to traverse that land and go on a look for, for gold or whatever they could find. And I was told that an interesting survey was done of those folks, and keep in mind how many folks lost their lives during that and how hard life really was. And the survey asked as many of them as they could get to, knowing what you know now, and keep in mind that pretty much the vast majority of them found nothing. Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again? And 100% of them said yes, we absolutely would. We would do it all over again. And it sounds to me like you've got a magical experience going on out there in Rachel, Nevada.
Well, I literally carved everything that I have on my property now out of the desert ground. I built everything I have here. It was a struggle, putting a well in, finding somebody to put my well in, putting a septic system in, getting electric wired up, building a home, building a garage, getting all the gravel delivered, forming a driveway. It was a hell of a thing to do, but would I do it all over again? Absolutely, I would. Not a doubt in my mind, I would. I enjoyed every minute of it, and now that it's mostly done, I'm enjoying every minute of that too. So
that's good.
And there is actually, we've talked about, I mentioned the mine earlier. There is actually talk about the mine reopening. It's a tungsten mine, and the rare earth supply from China is not as forthcoming anymore, and we don't want to be as dependent. So there's a good chance that they might actually reopen the mine here, just on the other side of Timberview Mountain, which means that Rachel would really be someone again. That we would have a lot of miners living here, more infrastructure. Part of me likes the idea. Part of me dreads it because it will disrupt our peace and quiet. But I think overall it will be a good thing for our town. So, it's not a done deal yet, but it looks very promising that it will happen. And we may go from uh, the label or the town where the UFO watchers go to a mining town again.
Right. And, tungsten, I've learned a little bit about tungsten actually in some research here lately. And tungsten is in all the filaments in our light bulbs in everybody's houses because it's my understanding tungsten has the highest melting point of any element. I believe I've got that right. So it makes the perfect filaments for light bulbs. But at one point in the past, though, it was also very useful for things like military purposes, right? Shielding tanks, that sort of thing. So that's really interesting. And it sounds like you're essentially the Chamber of Commerce there. So you probably will get a lot busier if the mines open back up.
Yeah. Yeah, I just see Mr. GP3PO. He's one of the long old timers who's coming out here. Mine opening, yes, it does sound like the mine. He's very surprised about that because there's been all these stories about the mine opening over the years, but this time it actually looks like it will happen. So yeah, the mine is closed again. It was pretty much falling apart. People were driving through on their quads and whatnot. It's all closed up again. People are cleaning it up. It looks like it's actually going to happen this time. So maybe if we talk in a year, it will be a whole different tone of Rachel.
Yeah, we'll have to check back in on that. Yorick, you brought up a name here that wrote the Rachel history on the rachel-nevada.com website that you operate, and the name was Glenn Campbell. And I have to remember that name because that's also the name of a famous country singer, but I don't think they're the same person.
Yeah.
And this Glenn Campbell has passed away. I'm pretty sure, right? But Glenn Campbell also wrote another document that's quite well known in some circles. Anyway, I'm gonna bring it up on stage. It's called the Area 51 Viewers Guide. Now, Yori, can you tell us anything? Because this is a heck of a document here. It's over 100 pages long, and I was looking through it, and there's a lot of very interesting things in the document. I'll put it that way.
Glenn Campbell was the original Area 51 researcher here, and he was here before my time. Did a lot of research. He's a character. I met him a few times, and he's actually inspired me to come out here for the first time. He had a website called UFO Mind that had a lot of his research on it. It was a little bit on the fringe sometimes, and then of course I bought a copy of his viewer's guide. His viewer's guide, the Area 51 viewer's guide, was my Bible when I started exploring this area. I literally checked out all the roads he's describing, all the boundary points. I can probably say that if it hadn't been for his viewer's guide, I would have had a lot harder time to get a handle on all of this. And he did a lot of research. Like I said, he wasn't a little bit more on the tipping point, UFOs, no UFOs. So a lot of his stories go a little bit in the esoteric or in the UFO realm, but for the most part, he did a great job writing a little tour guide about this area. With one section, several pages are dedicated step by step the highway markers, and every dirt road that goes left and right off the highway. I took that viewer's guide. I drove down every one of these dirt roads and checked them out. And if it hadn't been for his viewer's guide, I might have never done so. So Glenn was a heck of a guy. Sadly, he passed away well before his time. Heck of a guy. I really learned a lot from him, from his viewer's guide, and I can probably say he inspired my own work, my own website. His viewer's guide is what my website later became. I would like to think of that, if I may even be so presumptuous to compare the two.
Well, I thought it was really interesting, and there's so many great things in here. Like here, he talks about these sensors that you could discover around the desert if you knew what you were looking for. And he even describes sort of a way to hack into them. Does this sound familiar to you? Have you ever stumbled upon hidden sensors in the desert?
Yes, I have. There's actually
Oh,
pictures on my Dreamland Resort website where I'm finding these sensors and I'm taking them apart. They're buried in the ground. The sensors that he's showing here, that's the older generation of sensors. The sensors that are in use today are more compact, buried in the ground, and just little antenna sticks up out of the ground that looks like a piece of wire. If you go to my website and you go to Area 51 and then perimeter security or something like that, you'll find photos of them. I unburied a bunch of them and took them apart. I mean, not took them apart physically, but kind of opened them up and looked at the batteries. Excuse me, and took some pictures. While security was watching me, and I thought, okay, well, if they have a problem with that, then they're going to let me know. Well, they didn't. A few weeks later, the FBI contacted me. This was 20 years ago, so this has nothing to do with the case right now. And he basically told me, okay, don't do it again. Leave them alone. Which I have. I still know how to find them. I know they are still in use. I can prove that. I know all the frequencies that they're operating on that I'm not publishing yet. I know all the locations that I'm not publishing yet. And they are still in use. They want to know, they're all on public land. They want to know when somebody approaches. So it goes, okay, there's 5 sensors on the road. Okay, they tripped sensor 5, now they tripped sensor 4, sensor 3, sensor 2, sensor 1. Whoa, okay, now they're right by the gate. So they issue a warning for people at the gate, stay away, stay inside, whatever, don't do anything that you don't want people to see. And then you go back and trip those sensors in reverse order, and they know that you're leaving.
right.
So,
And
so yeah,
there.
those sensors are still in use today. And like I said, if I really wanted to, I could find them in no time.
Wow, very interesting. It makes you wonder how much privacy is there in Rachel, Nevada?
How much privacy is there anywhere?
Well, that's true.
Do you have any expectation of privacy when you're carrying your cell phone around with you?
No.
You know that they can listen to you on your cell phone, even if it's turned off.
Oh, yes.
So I have zero expectation of privacy here in Rachel or anywhere else on this planet. And quite frankly, if it keeps our country safe, I'm okay with it.
Right.
I got nothing to hide.
And I'm glad you brought that up. And it's something I wanted to talk about real quick with you, Jorg, because it's been in the news here recently. And Glenn mentions about the little LN in his Area 51 viewer's guide. And he talks about some of the photographs up in the little LN, which is interesting because within the last few weeks, Jorg, there's been a couple of news stories. One was in the Wall Street Journal. It was called The Pentagon Disinformation That Fueled America's UFO Mythology by Shetman and Viswanathan. That came out on June 6th. And then about a week later, on June 11th, Stephen Greenstreet dropped a video on the New York Post. Pentagon created fake UFO evidence, promoted false alien stories. And honestly, this is kind of what led me to get in touch with you, Jorg, because I started digging into this, and there was one particular part of both of those stories that I thought was really fascinating, and it was this story about an Air Force colonel that was seeding fake UFO photographs at a local bar. And when you start digging into Area 51 and Rachel, Nevada, I mean, it seems clear that the bar that they're referring to is the little LN. Mm-hmm. And then I noticed in the Area 51 viewer's guide that Glenn does talk about photographs at the little LN. And So disinformation has really been, at the tip of everybody's tongues with ufology here lately. So, you're right there at the heart of all this. Jorg, what is your take on the potential for not only disinformation with the military and ufology, but disinformation about disinformation? What is your take on all that? Just being there at the heart of everything.
To that particular case, I know that there's a lot of pictures at the little alien, and this article kind of inferred that they were provided as disinformation. I honestly don't know where some of these photos came from. I can't rule it out. I don't think it was, like the article almost makes it sound like Joe Travis, who was the owner of the little alien. He passed away since, but that he was in cahoots with them and they did this in a nefarious way. Joe wasn't that type of guy. He was a heck of a guy, a joker. If you give him some UFO photos, he was just building the little alien into a UFO theme at the time. This was in the late 80s, early 90s after Lazar came out.
Right.
So somebody might have provided those photos to him and said, hey, look, here's some great photos. Oh, great. That's great wall. Great to cover the walls. They put all these photos in the living. They have a bunch of trailers that they use as motel rooms. And every one of these rooms has UFO photos in them. Some look hokier than others. I can't rule out that they came from somebody who put those there for disinformation. I can, by knowing Joe personally very well, I can rule out that he would do that in a nefarious way. If that is in fact the case, then he wasn't aware that there was misinformation. He might have jumped at the opportunity. I mean, they needed UFO stuff. They were just becoming the little alien, so they needed wall decorations and so forth. So yeah, absolutely, could be that he jumped at that opportunity. In a more general term, disinformation is what they do. That's what they do at Area 51. That's how they hide what they're really doing. And sometimes I'm questioning, like when I'm monitoring radio traffic, are they just putting this out there for people's benefits, like myself and others monitoring their radio traffic? Is that real? It's been since, this goes way back to the 1950s and 60s when the people worked on the spy planes. They call themselves the Roadrunners. It's an organization of guys that worked out there back in the 1960s. I'm good friends with some of them, the few that are still alive, sadly. And, they tell me stories of painting fake airplane shapes on the asphalt, on the tarmac, to throw Russian satellites that flew over off track to make the Russians scratch their head. What is on that tarmac? What is sitting there? When it really was just a black painting.
Right.
More modern times, I hear that sometimes they would put on light shows for the benefit of UFO watchers around the base. And, then of course the story goes, well, I've seen lights around Area 51. They were jumping from left to right and back to the left. And, I've heard stories that they actually put on these light shows for the benefit of UFO watchers.
Oh, interesting.
Some of these stories that come out, some people even say Lazar is a disinformation agent. Some, I don't think so, but there are people that say that. Right. So the best disinformation is hidden between two truths. And I think that's a lot of what they do at Area 51 is just that. They give you a little bit and then they throw you off track with a little bit more, and you don't know what's real, what's not. I'm constantly questioning myself. Is that what I'm getting from the radio transmissions, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing? Is it real or is it disinformation? I'm constantly doing that.
Right. And it's good you have that approach, I think, just to kind of take it with a grain of salt what you're hearing. So I think that's the right approach for sure. Jorg, I'm going to give you the last word for tonight. I really appreciate you joining. I hope you'll come back and join us so we can address all these listener questions that people from all around the world had for us tonight. And I think we can just welcome you back on another time. But last word for tonight, Jorg, how can everybody get to your website, to your YouTube page, and do you have anything going on, current projects that you want to tell people about?
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I would love to do another episode. I'm sorry that I have to run today, but I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry that we didn't get to the questions in the chat. I'm going to do a live chat in the next week or so on my own YouTube channel, and I would invite everyone who didn't get their questions answered, come to my live chat. I'll post it in the next couple of days. I'll answer all your questions. Please come to my website, my YouTube channel. I have actually a couple of videos in the works. One video, I'm talking a lot about the trunking systems, about the radio systems here in the ranges, what I'm learning from that. And I have more ideas than I have time, but I'm working on it. Come to my YouTube channel. It's linked through my website, dreamlandresort.com. There's a little YouTube symbol. Click on that. That gets you to my YouTube. Check out my Facebook page. Check out rachelnevada.com. I'm wearing many hats, and I welcome feedback, from all these channels. I really enjoy doing these shows. I hope we can do another one in the near future. And in the meantime, I'm going to do a chat on my YouTube channel. I'm going to do something live stream. I'm going crazy right now. Things are a little bit busy here, but I'll get it done. And hopefully, I'd be more than honored to be on your show again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure. You're really fascinating. Rachel, Nevada is really a fascinating place. I hope I can see Area 51 myself one day. On behalf of Smitty and CJ, this is Dr. Mounts, and this has been All Things Unexplained. One thing we can all do, Jorg, is take a page out of your book and get off our screens for a little while. Go out and look up at the skies. See what is around us. Get out into the woods, maybe go camping, enjoy nature for a little while. We might not see a UFO. We might not spot a top secret military base. We might not find a Bigfoot, but we may find something even more important, and that is ourselves out there. So good night, everybody. We appreciate all of you. Thanks, Jorg.
Thank you.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic drew their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah. What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
All things unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.